cleanup ramps up across the mountains, but what about the health risks? Hear what you should know. NASCAR driver Ryan Newman survives a horrific crash to end the Daytona 500. We'll break down the safety measures that likely protected Newman in those terrifying moments.
Soggy weather continues this evening, but dry conditions are on the way. I'll have more details at that coming up.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Flood cleanup is in full swing across southeastern Kentucky, and what many may not be thinking of are the health risks during that cleanup. The Bell County Health Department is offering free Tdap boosters. WYMT's Emily Bennett spoke with nurses at the health department about some of those health risks today, and she's live. Emily?
Steve, while many are cleaning up their homes after the flood, they may not be thinking about the vaccines that they need. Now the health department is offering free Tdap boosters. This vaccine protects you against tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. Now it is important to get it during flood cleanup because the bacteria that can cause tetanus is found in rust, dirt, and the muddy water. It enters your body through any kind of open wound, cut, or scratch you may have. Just some muddy water on a cut could cause the infection. The symptoms being muscle stiffness, soreness, body aches, and a fever.
Well, as we get, to be adults and stuff, we forget that we also need boosters, and the tetanus is recommended every 10 years or, within just a few days if you have a deep puncture wound. So.
Now, to get the free Tdap booster, you can come to the Bell County Health Department. Now, an appointment is not needed. You can just come anytime Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. In Bell County, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, Emily, thank you, and I know you'll have more about this tonight at 11. $500,000 in grant funding is coming to 12 counties here in eastern Kentucky that suffered flooding damage. Governor Beshear said the 12 counties that declared a state of emergency qualified for the grant money. Each county will get up to $50,000 for the cost of collecting, transporting, and disposing of debris caused by the flooding. You can contact your local solid waste coordinator to learn where to dispose of flooding debris. Open burning is heavily restricted. As flood victims continue to clean out their homes and put back together what was left behind, two men from Indianapolis take a different approach. Scott Aiello and Donnie Green said they first fell in love with Harlan on a mission trip. Green said once he heard of the flood, he knew what he had to do. So they went grocery shopping, among other things.
Plumbing, electrical, we did roofing, siding, built wheelchair ramps, you name it, whatever these folks need, we have done it for them.
Today they shopped and dropped off food to Crank Survival Center. WYMT's Lacey Roberts will have more from their day in Harlan tonight at 11. A closed road in Perry County could be back open by late Friday evening. Transportation officials closed Kentucky 1165 last week. The road started to break and became too dangerous to drive on. Since then, people have taken either Hall or Pratt Mountain to get into the Viper area. Today, investigators raided clinics in Harlan, Pike, and Floyd counties. Here's the scene at behavioral health professionals in Harlan. We're told the FBI is leading this investigation. Agents along with state police and investigators from the Kentucky Attorney General's Office of Medicaid Fraud and Abuse Control carried out, quote, judicially authorized activity. It is unclear about the scope of that investigation. Cleanup efforts are still underway in the Draffin community of Pike County after Thursday's train derailment sent two men to the hospital. Crews worked in the area over the weekend, laying rock and gravel to provide more stability so equipment could get to the train cars. Those cars were removed today, bringing them out of the Russell Fork River, back onto the tracks and into the bottom next to the crash site. The train was carrying ethanol. Officials say soil and water samples will be tested continually as cleanup efforts continue.
Well, this wet and overcast weather is going to continue as we head into the overnight hours. hours tonight. If you look outside at the WYMT studio camera, you can see those conditions out there. Very wet roadways, so just be careful if you're out on the roads tonight. Could hit a slick spot, so take your time. And those overcast clouds definitely making it seem very gloomy outside. But these showers are going to continue overnight. You can see here they've been over the past couple of hours. Now, the heavier showers have moved out, but temperatures are still on the warmer side. You can see a lot of us still in those 50s. Those of us to our north have cooled down a little bit quicker and are in those 40s, but definitely some warmer temperatures for this time of year. But we get a bit of a cool down heading into tomorrow. Tomorrow highs only top out in those mid to upper 40s, so it'll be a lot cooler than we've been seeing the past couple of days. And with that, we're also going to see these clouds clear on out of here, maybe some sunshine return to the mountains, and then we get a little bit of a warm up by the time we hit our weekend. Steve?
All right, Brooke, thank you. About 500,000 Kentuckians have been diagnosed with diabetes. Each one faces rising costs for a medication that keeps them alive. A bill in Frankfort would change that. It would limit insulin costs to $100 for a month's supply. Today, Governor Andy Beshear and a group of bipartisan lawmakers shared their support for the bill. Krista Frost explains that bill and another piece of legislation that could stop prices from rising.
In the 1920s, Frederick Banting created insulin. He patented it for just $1, reasonable considering the cost.
Between $2 and $7 to manufacture a single vial of insulin.
So why are Kentuckians paying roughly $300 a vial for something they need to survive? Last year, then Attorney General Andy Beshear sued 3 insulin makers for outrageous prices. Sarah Ferguson was in the courtroom.
And I heard the lawyers for the insulin manufacturers say they raise the prices because they can. There's no law against it.
That might change thanks to House Bill 12.
It's a $100 copay cap.
Ferguson says while House Bill 12 is a step in the right direction, she says there's a lot of loopholes in this and other pieces of legislation.
So copay cap means it's for somebody with insurance, first of all.
And even if you have insurance,
it's also limited in the type of insurance. It can only be insurance that's state regulated.
Where a lot of insurance is federally regulated, and the holes don't end there. We asked who's responsible for these high prices.
We don't know for sure. It's hidden.
But another piece of legislation floating around the Capitol could help with that, too.
House Bill 249 for insulin price transparency that would make the manufacturers, the insurers, the pharmacy benefit managers file forms every year and explain what's going on.
In Frankfort, Krista Frost, WYMT Mountain News.
There is another bill which could help those who are not insured but need insulin. Senate Bill 23 would make manufacturers pay a fee that would create a pool for the uninsured to use when needed. The search is on for a missing Clay County man. Jason Davidson was last seen in November. Here's a picture of him. Despite being missing for months, state police say he was not reported missing until February 14th. Davidson is 42 and about 6 feet 3 inches tall with brown eyes, and he's balding. Anyone with information can call 606-878-6622. Floyd County deputies carried out a string of investigations, netting their largest meth busts in years. Take a look at this picture. Sheriff John Hunt says that's more than 5 pounds of crystal meth. They also found numerous guns and more than $5,000 worth of stolen property. Through 4 investigations, deputies arrested 8 people. Their names and charges have not yet been released. If you live in Floyd County, you soon will have a new way to get around. Public transportation is in the works. WYMT's Katie Cook talked with the Judge Executive Robbie Williams and has more on how this will benefit the community.
Getting a ride to and from town will soon be easier.
The number one need that we get from everywhere is we need some type of transportation.
The county is using resources they already have. Right now, they're mainly just used for senior citizens, but soon that will no longer be the case.
It's going to be open to the public and it's going to be free to the public.
Adding several new pickup and drop-off locations.
And what we're going to do is a set schedule and go to different areas of the county each day of the week and bring the folks to Prestonsburg that they can get what they need.
And one local business owner agrees a transportation system is needed.
I actually have an aunt right now that would greatly benefit from more stops.
With people coming in and out of town more, some think it could even help the local economy.
If she had something like this that could actually get her to the grocery store or around a shop, that would just be more money flowing into the communities.
And they hope the fleet will expand.
And let's see if it works and if people utilize it, and we can expand and grow from there.
Getting the people where they need to go. In Floyd County, Katie Cook, WYMT Mountain News.
The Floyd County Judge Executive plans to release a schedule soon of routes and pickup times. You can look for it on the county's Facebook page. Well, Eric C. Kahn mannequins with a bounty on their heads are no longer missing. Officials with the United States Department of Justice found them. They were taken from a storage building. It's unclear who took them. Attorney Ned Pillersdorf offered a $500 reward to help find them so Tyler Childers could potentially use them in a music video. A horrific way to end the Daytona 500 last night. Emergency workers rushed driver Ryan Newman to the hospital following a terrifying crash. It happened on the final lap. You can see Newman's number 6 car turn, go airborne, and land on its roof. An update from Roush Fenway Racing says Newman is awake and talking with doctors. A Lexington emergency physician is the medical director for NASCAR's safety team. Dr. Ryan Stanton talked to Victor Puente today about the training that goes into keeping these drivers safe.
If it hadn't been for the rain delay, Dr. Ryan Stanton would have been at the track for the finish of the Daytona 500. Instead, he had to come back to Lexington on Monday, where he saw the fiery conclusion and saw his coworkers rush to help driver Ryan Newman.
The firefighters, the paramedics, they're used to putting their lives in danger for others. They do it for the public in their own communities every single day.
In addition to being an ER physician, Stanton is also the medical director for NASCAR's safety team. He can't comment on Newman's case specifically, but can talk about improvements NASCAR has made to make the sport safer.
Most of those wrecks that take place, if you're in a passenger vehicle, would be a fatal collision. But with the safety that's in place, we are blessed by the fact that major injuries are pretty rare and far between.
He cites improved barriers that absorb impact and systems within those cars to keep drivers safe. There are also multiple teams around the track to respond to those wrecks.
For on track, a 30-second response time is pushing it in terms of how long they are. Typically, you have a vehicle or somebody there within 5 to 10 seconds.
Some of those firefighters and doctors are volunteers at the track because they love the sport.
It's one of those things where it's just an extension of what most of these men and women do on a daily basis.
They're part of a team that hasn't seen a death in almost 20 years, since Dale Earnhardt was killed in 2001.
That's what everybody does, is trying to make sure it's an entertaining sport, but at the same time as safe as possible.
Victor Puente, WYMT Mountain News.
Newman is still at Halifax Medical Center at Daytona Beach. The family is thanking everyone for their concern and heartfelt messages.
Well, rain showers continue tonight, but we dry out by tomorrow and cool down. I'll tell you more about that coming up.
But first, the show must go on. Hear how you can help a community theater destroyed by a fire a few weeks ago.